I'm Elizabeth Latham. I run the U.S. Committee for the United Nations Development Program, as many of you know. We are delighted to have been able to host this week a team from Sudan, including the UN Resident Representative Omer Haroun, who has gone back to New York, and Omer Haroun, who is visiting with us from Darfur. He works currently for UNDP Sudan in Darfur on sustainable livelihoods programs, which he's going to talk a little bit with us about today. He, in the past, has worked with the government of Sudan on agriculture. That's how he started off in the Ministry of Agriculture. It was raining yesterday, so when he came over to my house, I didn't get to get your opinion on my little garden in my backyard. But he's also worked with Save the Children, again on programs in Darfur. So we've been delighted to be able to host him this week and want to thank him for all of the travel time that's entailed for coming here. It's not an easy process. It took him about 2 days, 3 days almost to travel here. More than 3 days. So it took a while, and we're delighted that he made that trek and is with us. And he's going back this evening, so we thought we'd ask him to just talk a little bit about the work of UNDP in Darfur today. And so without further ado, Omer, let me hand it over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm pleased to have this opportunity just to reflect something about UNDP, and especially UNDP in Darfur, because UNDP has a huge presence in Sudan, but we will concentrate in Darfur and what is UNDP doing in Darfur and what's going on actually in Darfur. In brief, we'll provide very brief information, and then we'll give the floor for everybody to ask if there is any questions. In general information about Darfur, Darfur region is the western part of the Sudan. It is, we can say, the size of Texas. It is like 500,000 square kilometers. It is, if we went back to the map, it is bounding 3 countries, which is Republic Arab of Libya, Chad, and Central Africa, and we'll see later how this location will affect the politics and the conflict in Darfur. Pre-conflict, that is before 2003, Darfur was lived by about 6 million population. They are divided to different ethnic and tribal groups, more than 36. They are Muslims, all of them are Muslims. They are Arab and Africans, but recently the term which is talking about Arab and African is very recent, and that is very, very politicized. It is a drought-prone area, and climatically it moves from far north, which is desert, semi-desert, and move to the south to the savanna, and it has rainfall ranges from 100 or below millimeter per annum and up to 5 millimeter and more, and it has also, it is extremely ecologically fragile. There is continuous recurrent droughts in Darfur. There is desertification, which is estimated to be 1.2 mile or kilometer per year, and that makes Darfur ecologically it is a little bit fragile. The main source of livelihood for the Darfur population is, we can say, a natural resource, or they mainly depend on agriculture and livestock, and that is more than 80% of the population are relying on natural resources, which is agriculture and livestock, and the remaining are doing trading and the other small activities. Because of this extreme, we say that it is extreme, ecologically fragile, and the population are divided between agriculturists and livestock owners, and there are some nomads or those who are moving from area to another, and there is scarce fertile soil which could be used for agricultural purposes and for a range land that makes the area subjected to a lot of competition over these scarce natural resources. There is lack of also of socio-economic development. Also, there is low human development index, which we can describe in the following sentences. It is lack of infrastructure and basic social services. Just 2 or 3 examples that the education enrollment in Darfur, and this information is got in 2000, in the year 2000, that only 30% of the pupils or the young people in the age of 6 to 12, only 30% were find chance to go to school, that's the primary school, and only 12% of the ages of 12 to 18, they find chance to have educated in the secondary school, and only 6% of the Darfur young people having the chance to get higher university education. For health, one of the indicators is that in the year 2000, that only 1.6 doctor or physician for each 100,000 persons. And you can imagine how the situation is bad. And for water, only 15% of the population have access to clean water. There is water, but only this fraction of 15% having access to clean water. UNDP was there since the 80s. It has implemented a lot of development activities that is pre-conflict. Many integrated rural development projects. It has involved also in planning capacity for the government, engaged in agricultural activities, and there are different activities we can elaborate in them more. This is just general information about Darfur, and if we can talk a little bit about the Darfur conflict root causes, on the top we find that economic and political marginalization. The people of Darfur, since the last century, they feel that they are marginalized by the central government, and they are deprived from their very basic needs, as we have seen, for water, education, and health, and so on. And this marginalization and the politicization from the central government has contributed to the development of ethical distinction, and there is small armed militia have been supported by the government or the different tribes, and that has added a lot to the aggravation of the situation in Darfur.